So we're gonna quickly review a mock draft that I did. I tried to draft for a need, the greatest needs of the Dallas Cowboys at this particular moment. So as you can see, first round selection, I went ahead and went with Tyler Guyton. Second round selection, I went with Edgerrin Cooper. Third round selection, I went with Trey Benson. We didn't have a fourth round pick. We did have a fifth round pick. I went with Isaiah Adams, an interior offensive lineman, Brennan Jackson, Christian Boyd, and Carlton Johnson. So I'm going to quickly just sort of, describe some of those guys, some of their features and characteristics as to why I made those selections and how they could be helpful to the Dallas Cowboys in filling the various needs that the team has at this point in time. But before I do that, I actually want to just kind of skim through the draft so you guys can see how it all shook out, and maybe that'll give a little bit more insight as to why I took the selections that I took. So some notable names here. You see Jaden Daniels goes to the Bears, Drake May to the Commanders, Caleb Williams to the Patriots. You got Rome Odunze went to the Cardinals, Malik Neighbors went to the LSU Tigers. Malik Neighbors went to the Chargers. He played for the LSU Tigers. Joe Alt to the Giants, so on and so forth. Some notable names here I've heard mentioned in Cowboys NFL draft circles will be Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle out of Penn State, very good player. Also, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. As you can see here, went to the Saints. I've heard him linked to the Dallas Cowboys as well. Then you also have, Jackson Powers Johnson, who went 21 to Miami, the interior offensive lineman out of Oregon. So, if you're wondering, why didn't we pick this guy? Why didn't we pick that guy? You can kind of see here. At the time, Graham Barton was still available. That obviously is another name that's been linked to the Dallas Cowboys. Interior offensive lineman out of Duke. He could play center for you, could play guard for you. As you all know, we lost our center, Tyler Biadasz, in free agency to the Washington Commanders. So that is a position of need for us as well. So Graham Barton was available. Amarius Mims also available, another name that's been linked to the Cowboys due to our obvious need at left tackle, given the fact that Tyron Smith, a longtime Dallas Cowboys left tackle, has signed with the New York Jets. So a lot of offensive linemen, specifically offensive tackles, linked to the Cowboys. I decided to go with Tyler Guyton simply because I value him as the better athlete at the position. Obviously, he played right tackle at University of Oklahoma, but that was more so due to the fact that their quarterback was left-handed. So he was still protecting the blind side of their left-handed quarterback. I think the switch to a left tackle where he would be protecting Dak Prescott's blind side would be pretty seamless, given the fact that this guy has a tremendous amount of athleticism. The one thing that I noticed watching his tape is that he has really, really good feet. His footwork is, it can be improved, don't get me wrong, but his footwork is good for a guy his size. One thing that stands out is the fact that he's about 6'7" or so, 320 pounds. But on his frame, it looks like he's really a lot slimmer. So he has a really athletic profile, and I think that it would be a pretty seamless transition for him to move from the right side to the left side. Very high value prospect there, I believe. So I did go with Tyler Guyton there I view Tyler in comparison to Graham Barton, Amarius Mims. I view him as the better overall prospect, even though he's a very raw talent. His hands could be a lot better. Also would like to see him just get a little bit more willing to get to that second level in the run game. All things that he could definitely improve upon, but I think that overall, if we just look at the raw talent, Tyler Guyton would be the best selection there. So, moving right along to the second round, you can see some of the other names that went off the board here. Braden Fisk, defensive lineman from Florida State, I've seen linked to the Cowboys. Xavier Worthy went to the Titans. Ricky Pearsall to the Eagles, Cooper Beebe to the Eagles. Really great prospects there. Michael Penix actually to the Giants. That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. And then you see Patrick Paul, the tackle out of my alma mater, University of Houston. Shout out to the Houston Cougars. And so there you can see Edgerrin Cooper was just sitting there, just his name flashing in big bright lights at this point. So it was pretty much a no-brainer. We obviously have a very big need at linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. Edgerrin Cooper is probably the best linebacker in this class, in my honest opinion. I know some people will take Junior Colson, and there's some other guys. But I think Edgerrin Cooper, just the all-around package, the raw athleticism, the speed, I believe he has a high football IQ. I rarely saw him out of position when I watched his tape. So this one was pretty much a no-brainer. You can see some other selections there. Tyler Nubin, I think, is a great prospect. Let's see. Some more names here. Peyton Wilson, I see the linebacker from NC State. His name's been linked to the Cowboys as well. All right, so then we get to the third round here, and we see running back Trey Benson out of Florida State. I have Trey Benson, honestly, as probably, he's in the top 2, definitely top 3 as far as my overall running back prospects. I would probably rank him like second. I feel like Braylon Allen, honestly, is the best pure running back, just as a runner. Very hard to bring down, very powerful, very quick, has the breakaway speed. I mean, Braylon Allen has the total package as a runner. The thing that separates Trey Benson from Braylon Allen, in my opinion, is Trey Benson actually has the full, complete package at running back. When we factor in the receiving out of the backfield, obviously it's a little bit more difficult to find some of his pass blocking reps from the tape that's available. But in terms of like as a receiver out of the backfield, that's where Trey Benson sort of takes the edge over Braylon Allen. Trey Benson, he has the speed, the power, the quickness. But again, it's very close between those two. I got Braylon Allen and Trey Benson as the top 2 running backs, and then Jalen Wright, the running back out of the University of Tennessee, is right there with those two as my top running back prospects. But in terms of just what I think the Cowboys should go after, they should go after that every down, 3 down type of back who can give you the receiving out of the backfield, as well as, tremendous running, whether it's between the tackles, whether it's getting to the edge. Trey Benson has the whole package. So, needless to say, that was a selection there. Keep going. Come on down. Didn't have a 4th round pick, so you see Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son, goes to the Vikings. I think that'd be an interesting pick for them. So yeah, there's the 4th round. 5th round begins with Malik Mustafa, who's someone who I scouted going to the 49ers. God, I hope that doesn't happen, because I think Malik Mustafa is an excellent player. See Will Shipley going to the Panthers, very interesting. Marshawn Lloyd to the Broncos, also very interesting. See Audric Estime going to the Bengals, that's interesting. So keep on going. Ray Davis to the Eagles, I like it. So here, and this looks to be a compensatory selection in the 5th round, because we don't have a 4th round pick. Shout out to Trey Lance. So Isaiah Adams was the selection here out of the University of Illinois, interior offensive lineman. When I watched this tape, I really liked the versatility that I saw from him. I saw Isaiah Adams line up at left guard, I saw him line up at right guard, and I also saw him line up at left tackle. So the versatility is really stands out. If you know the Cowboys, they value their quote-unquote position flex. That's what they call it. That's what they value. So an interior offensive lineman who does have the ability to kick out and play tackle in a pinch, I think would be very valuable, extremely valuable. And when I watched his tape specifically, some of the characteristics that stood out was his tremendous power in the run game. He really has the ability to move guys around, move them against their will. I think he has great feet. Great feet, great hand placement. His hand placement is great. When I say great, I mean relatively. I mean speaking as a college prospect. Obviously, the NFL is a different level, so those things will have to be refined. He'll have to polish those things up. But just as a starting point, as a prospect, I think he gives you a lot to work with, a lot to be excited about. So if you haven't checked him out, go check out Isaiah Adams. I think he'd be a great selection here in the 5th round. So then we go to the 6th round. A couple of notable names. Joe Milton, quarterback from Tennessee, to the Seahawks. I like it. Frank Gore Jr. to the Saints. I like that. That'll be a pretty good pickup for those guys. So here we are. Pick number 216, Brennan Jackson out of Washington State. He's a quote-unquote edge rusher. If you guys know me, I hate that term. He is a true defensive end. He could play a 4-3 defensive end for you. He reminds me a lot of DeMarcus Lawrence in the fact that, really big body, really physical in the run game. He plays the run. He is always coming up to stop in the run game. And then he has really deceptive speed. So when he's rushing off the edge, it doesn't really look as fast or as quick as maybe some other guys, but he closes distance, extremely quickly. And he's a supreme athlete. Some of the tape that I saw, he had a couple of like scoop and scores, long runs, really, really long runs. He's a fantastic athlete. I was very, very impressed when I watched his tape. Again, he's sturdy in the run game, definitely gets after the passer as well. Just an all-around fine prospect. I really liked what I saw when I was reviewing Brennan Jackson. So I think he'd be a great selection for the Cowboys. Obviously, we know that we lost some defensive ends or some edge rushers via free agency. So I think that Brennan Jackson could come in and really claim a spot in the rotation right away, to be quite honest with you. So let's keep it moving here. Next selection was Christian Boyd out of Northern Iowa. One thing that I noticed when I watched his tape, he's just a really big body, really a space eater, which is what you want from your defensive tackle positions, especially with the Cowboys. One thing that the Cowboys are lacking is really a lot of size, a lot of beef. Obviously, our issues if you're a fan from the Green Bay Packer game, the playoff game. We could not stop the run. We could not, really that was the problem all season is the Cowboys couldn't stop the run. We needed a big body in the middle, someone who could, be a presence, just be a force, even if you're not necessarily getting penetration or even getting in the backfield and being a disruption. One of the things that I think all Cowboys fans would appreciate is just someone who's not getting moved around easily. Like one thing I noticed when I watched Christian Boyd's tape is there were not a lot of people who could just move him around against his will. Very strong, very sturdy, which is what you need. You just need a guy to pretty much fill that gap and allow the others around him to sort of make the plays. And he'll make his plays. He'll make his fair share of plays. But as a defensive tackle, you really just want to be a big body, be a space eater, be someone who, is just not getting blown off the ball. So there's all this room to run for these running backs. So definitely like Christian Boyd. But the caveat with defensive tackles is always that, it takes them a minute to develop. Usually somewhere between like year 2 and 3, possibly year 3 and 4. Defensive tackles, it really kind of takes them a while to get their feet under them in the NFL. So I'm not saying you should have really high expectations in year 1 for Christian Boyd, but then again, he has all the physical tools. He has the solid base and foundation to develop into a very dominant defensive presence along the defensive line. So the last pick we have here, they actually had 2 7th-round picks, was Carlton Johnson, cornerback out of Fresno State. Obviously, cornerback will be a need for us. I don't think they're bringing back Stephon Gilmore. So at this particular point in time, just adding another depth piece will be ideal. Carlton Johnson out of Fresno State. When I watched his tape, his body type reminds me a lot of Trayvon Diggs. But if you see the name of the school that he went to, it should kind of ring a bell to you. Should be a little familiar to you. Fresno State is obviously the same school where we went and found Deron Bland. And so you're thinking like right off the top, well, maybe he has those same type of playmaking abilities, right? And I would agree. Looking at his numbers, I believe he had 4 interceptions. He does play the ball very well. I would say he plays the ball probably better than Bland in that it's not all about necessarily coming down with the interception with him. Carlton Johnson, from the tape that I saw, was always someone who was in the area, in position. He was rarely out of position, rarely getting faked out by receivers or, play action fakes from quarterbacks or anything like that. Very disciplined, very sound technique. Probably not the ball hawk in terms of the interceptions, like I said, like a Trayvon Diggs, who he has a similar body type to, or like a Deron Bland, who he went to the same school as, but very sound, just a technician. And I would think that he could develop into someone who will start to see regular reps, especially at the cornerback position. Look, I'm shell-shocked by all of the Anthony Brown years, all of the times where even cornerbacks that we had faith in, guys get nicked up. It's a long season. So depth at particularly the cornerback position in a league where, We know teams like to throw the ball. I think would be ideal. I think Carlton Johnson would be a perfect selection for you. And all of these selections, really, man. You know, when we just go through the entire thing, like when I look at the overall picture of this particular mock draft that I completed, I think it really fills and solidifies a lot of needs and gives us a lot of like impact players right away, like day one starters. Trey Benson, Edrin Cooper, like these are day one starters. You know, Tyler Guyton, obviously, and then a guy like an Isaiah Adams, I think he could claim a position along that offensive line, whether it's the left guard position, whether it's the center position, whether it's any of those available positions. Same thing with Brennan Jackson. Like I said, I think he's someone who can come in and get a spot in the defensive line rotation immediately. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys let me know what you think about this mock draft. Give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. You can grade it A, B, C, D, F, however you view it. But thank you all for paying attention, watching this video, giving me the time of day. At the end of the day, Cowboys for life, DC forever, and I'm out.